Nestled amidst the sparkling waters of the Indonesian archipelago lies Timor-Leste, a small nation with a big history. This island country, often overlooked on the world stage, is a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. Its story is one of resilience, beauty, and a rich cultural tapestry that has been woven over centuries. Known for its stunning natural beauty, Timor-Leste is a land of rugged mountains that rise majestically from the sea, lush forests that teem with wildlife, and pristine beaches that stretch as far as the eye can see. The country's diverse landscapes offer a paradise for nature lovers and adventurers alike, with each region presenting its own unique charm and allure. But beyond its picturesque landscapes lies a story of resilience, a testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome adversity. The people of Timor-Leste, known for their warmth and hospitality, have faced numerous challenges throughout their history. From working in the fields to playing in the streets, the daily life of the Timorese is a blend of tradition and modernity, reflecting their enduring spirit and cultural richness. This is the story of Timor-Leste, a nation forged in the fires of colonization, occupation, and ultimately liberation. The journey to independence was long and arduous, marked by periods of intense struggle and profound sacrifice. Yet through it all, the Timorese people never lost sight of their dream for a free and sovereign nation. Timor-Leste's strategic location at the crossroads of Southeast Asia and the Pacific has made it a coveted prize for centuries. Its position along historical trade routes brought it into contact with various cultures and civilizations, each leaving an indelible mark on its history and development. The bustling ports of Timor-Leste have long been gateways to the wider world, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas and traditions. Its fertile lands and rich resources attracted traders and colonizers alike, shaping its destiny in profound ways. The agricultural bounty of Timor-Leste, from its coffee plantations to its fertile farmlands, has been a cornerstone of its economy and a source of sustenance for its people. The legacy of trade and colonization is evident in the diverse cultural influences that permeate Timorese society today. From the arrival of the Portuguese in the 16th century to the tumultuous 20th century, marked by Indonesian occupation and a hard-won independence, Timor-Leste's journey has been one of struggle and triumph. The Portuguese era introduced new cultural and religious elements, while the Indonesian occupation brought about a period of intense conflict and resistance. Timor-Leste's journey has been one of struggle and triumph. The resilience of the Timorese people was most evident during the years of occupation, when resistance fighters took to the mountains and forests to wage a guerrilla war for freedom. The eventual celebration of independence was a moment of profound joy and relief, marking the end of a long and painful chapter in the nation's history. This essay delves into the epic journey of Timor-Leste, exploring the key events that have shaped its identity. From the early days of Portuguese colonization to the brutal Indonesian occupation and the eventual triumph of independence, we will trace the threads of its history. Each event, each struggle and each victory has contributed to the rich tapestry that is Timor-Leste today. We will trace the threads of its history from the early days of Portuguese colonization to the brutal Indonesian occupation and the eventual triumph of independence. The architectural remnants of the Portuguese era, the scars left by the Indonesian military, and the vibrant celebrations of independence all tell the story of a nation that has endured and overcome. Through it all, we will witness the unwavering spirit of the Timorese people, their determination to forge their own destiny against all odds. The portraits of Timorese individuals, the traditional ceremonies that have been passed down through generations, and the stories of activists and leaders who have fought for their nation's freedom all serve as powerful reminders of the strength and resilience of this remarkable nation. Join us as we uncover the story of Timor-Leste, a nation that has emerged from the shadows of its past to embrace a brighter future. Today, Timor-Leste is a country on the rise, with a modern skyline, vibrant cultural expressions, and ambitious economic development projects. The journey of Timor-Leste is far from over, and its future holds the promise of continued growth and prosperity. This is the story of a nation that, despite its challenges, continues to shine as a jewel in the Indonesian archipelago. The Portuguese, driven by their insatiable thirst for spices and new trade routes, set their sights on the Indonesian archipelago in the 16th century. This era marked the height of the age of exploration, a time when European powers were venturing into uncharted territories, seeking wealth and new lands to claim. The Portuguese, with their advanced navigational skills and maritime prowess, were at the forefront of this global expansion. Timor, with its strategic location and abundant sandalwood, quickly caught their attention. The island's rich natural resources, particularly its highly prized sandalwood, made it a valuable asset for the Portuguese. Sandalwood was in high demand in Europe and Asia, used for its aromatic properties and in religious ceremonies, making Timor an essential stop in the Portuguese trade network. In 1520, the Portuguese established a foothold on the island, marking the beginning of their long and complex relationship with Timor-Leste. This initial settlement was not just a trading post, but a strategic base that allowed the Portuguese to exert control over the surrounding seas and trade routes. The establishment of this foothold was a significant milestone in the history of Timor, setting the stage for centuries of Portuguese influence. The Portuguese presence in Timor-Leste gradually solidified over the centuries. They built forts, churches, and other colonial structures that still stand today, serving as a testament to their long-standing influence. These buildings not only served practical purposes, but also symbolized the Portugueses' enduring presence and their efforts to integrate Timor into their colonial empire. They established trading posts, introduced Christianity, and exerted their influence over the local population. The spread of Christianity was particularly significant, as it brought about profound changes in the social and cultural fabric of Timorese society. Missionaries played a crucial role in this transformation, building schools and churches and converting many Timorese to Catholicism. Timor-Leste became a Portuguese colony, its fate intertwined with the ebb and flow of European colonialism. The island was part of a larger network of Portuguese colonies that spanned the globe, from Brazil to Africa to Asia. This global network facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas and cultures, making Timor a small but integral part of the Portuguese Empire. However, Portuguese control over Timor-Leste was not absolute. The island's rugged terrain and the resilience of the Timorese people presented constant challenges. The mountainous landscape made it difficult for the Portuguese to maintain control over the entire island, and many areas remained outside their direct influence. The island's rugged terrain and the resilience of the Timorese people presented constant challenges. The Timorese, with their strong sense of identity and independence, often resisted Portuguese rule. This resistance took many forms, from armed uprisings to subtle acts of defiance, and it was a testament to the enduring spirit of the Timorese people. Local rulers, known as liurai, often resisted Portuguese encroachment, leading to periodic uprisings and power struggles. These local leaders played a crucial role in maintaining the cultural and political autonomy of their communities. Their resistance was not just a reaction to foreign domination, but also a defense of their traditional way of life. Despite the challenges, Portuguese influence left an indelible mark on Timor-Leste. The architectural styles, religious practices and cultural traditions introduced by the Portuguese became deeply embedded in Timorese society. This blending of cultures created a unique heritage that continues to be celebrated in Timor-Leste today. The Portuguese language, Catholicism and elements of Portuguese culture became interwoven into the fabric of Timorese society, shaping its identity for centuries to come. Even after the end of Portuguese rule, these influences remained, serving as a reminder of the island's complex colonial history and its enduring connections to Portugal. The legacy of this period is still evident in the language, religion and cultural practices of Timor-Leste, reflecting a history of resilience and adaptation. The 20th century ushered in a period of immense change and upheaval for Timor-Leste. World War II engulfed the globe, and Timor-Leste found itself caught in the crossfire. Japanese forces occupied the island in 1942, ending Portuguese rule, albeit temporarily. The Japanese occupation, though brutal, inadvertently sowed the seeds of Timorese nationalism. The Timorese people, forced to fend for themselves, developed a stronger sense of unity and a yearning for self-determination. Following Japan's defeat in 1945, Portugal resumed control of Timor-Leste. However, the post-war world was a different place. The winds of change were sweeping across Asia and Africa as colonies rose up to demand independence. Timor-Leste, too, would soon be swept up in this tide of liberation. In 1974, A revolution in Portugal led to the downfall of the authoritarian Estado Novo regime. The new Portuguese government, committed to decolonization, granted Timor-Leste the right to self-determination. However, this newfound freedom was short-lived. Indonesia, under the rule of President Suharto, saw an opportunity to expand its territory. Fearing the emergence of an independent Timor-Leste on its doorstep, Indonesia launched a full-scale invasion on December 7, 1975. The Indonesian invasion was swift and brutal. Timor-Leste, ill-equipped to defend itself against a much larger and better armed force, was quickly overrun. The Indonesian military met fierce resistance from Falintil, the armed wing of the Timorese independence movement, but the Timorese people were outmatched and outgunned. Despite the overwhelming odds, the Timorese people refused to be cowed. Their spirit of defiance was evident in every protest, every act of resistance, and every moment of courage. They stood together, united in their quest for freedom, showing the world that their will could not be broken. Falintil, operating from the rugged mountains, waged a guerrilla war against the Indonesian occupiers. These brave fighters, often outnumbered and outgunned, used their intimate knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. They launched surprise attacks, ambushes and sabotage missions, becoming a thorn in the side of the Indonesian military. The resistance movement, fueled by a deep love for their homeland and a burning desire for freedom, became a symbol of Timorese resilience. Every victory, no matter how small, was a testament to their unwavering spirit. The national flag, a beacon of hope, was carried with pride by the fighters, representing their unyielding determination. The Indonesian occupation was marked by widespread human rights abuses. The military presence was overwhelming, with soldiers patrolling the streets, enforcing curfews and instilling fear among the populace. The Timorese people lived under constant surveillance and threat. Extrajudicial killings, torture, forced disappearances and systematic repression became the norm. Families were torn apart, communities were devastated, and the very fabric of Timorese society was under attack. The stories of those who suffered are a stark reminder of the brutality of the occupation. The Indonesian military sought to crush the Timorese spirit, but their efforts only strengthened the resolve of the resistance. Each act of aggression was met with renewed determination. The fighters, though facing insurmountable odds, stood their ground, embodying the indomitable spirit of their people. The Timorese people endured unimaginable suffering during the occupation. They faced hunger, displacement, and the constant threat of violence. Yet, in the face of such adversity, they found strength in their shared struggle and in their hope for a better future. Yet they never gave up hope. Their resilience was evident in their daily lives, in their continued acts of defiance, and in their unwavering belief that freedom would one day be theirs. The banners they held high during protests were not just symbols of resistance, but of an unbreakable spirit. From the mountains to the villages, the spirit of resistance burned bright, kept alive by the dream of a free and independent Timor-Leste. The bond between the fighters and the villagers was unbreakable, each supporting the other in their shared quest for liberation. Together they forged a path towards a future where their homeland would be free from oppression.